Karen seems to be undergoing some sort of mutation.
Catherine.
Catherine.
Wow.
Ooh, awkward.
Wow. Wow.
It's okay. People call me.
Karen is
Someone called me Kathy the other day.
anyway changing into some sort of a T-Rex.
Is it inflatable?
Yes, girl.
Oh, we're live.
Are we live? Okay, cool. Welcome to Hack Days. Hack Days is a weekly podcast where we can get together and talk about pretty much anything. Nerds talking to nerds. That is what it is. We're live from Noisebridge, which is a hackerspace here in San Francisco, where you can come out, play with cool toys, play with cool equipment, everything from 3D printers and laser cutters to that's about it. No, I'm just kidding. There's a lot here. You can hang out with other hackers, and I'm just so distracted right now. And you should check it out at noisebridge.net. There's plenty of classes and meetups that happen here. We just had a Turing machine roll through here. Not a Turing machine. An Enigma machine. Yes. And yeah, a lot of cool stuff happens here at noisebridge.net. And this is Hack Days. Welcome to Hack Days. So if you want to go around and talk about what you're working on and introduce yourselves and give a little quick background, this is now the time. Jack, you want to start?
I'm Jack. I'm very distracted right now. Yeah.
Just don't move.
Yeah.
They detect movement.
Can you sit in the stool? Is that possible?
My tail.
Oh god.
Wait, I can't find it with my butt.
That's actually what doomed the Tyrannosaurs is they actually couldn't find their chairs.
I mean, I bet you would.
Do you want to sit in this one? It's lower.
Yeah, maybe I'll go over
You know, there's a stool here actually.
Worst comes to worst, in the end of the world, it is positive pressure, so it's possible that you could kind of stay safe from North Korean anthrax.
As a Tyrannosaur?
Maybe just this is
I mean, maybe.
I mean, it could be. I'd prefer to go to the superhero route myself.
Okay, so beyond the carnival that is now.
Well, yeah, it's funny because the Tyrannosaur part looks actively upset while you're trying to move, too. All right, there we go.
Okay. My name is Dan Gailey. I'm the CEO and founder of Synapse.ai. We do decentralized AI, and let's see. Yeah, that's about it. Yay, I work 9 days.
Hi, I'm Catherine. That's all.
I would say currently a Catherinosaurus.
Yeah. K-Rex, you know.
Yeah, K-Rex, I like that.
That's me.
Your turn.
Hi, I'm Trisha McKenzie. I'm the CEO of Synoptic. We're rewiring brains for positive mental health instead of addiction.
I'm James Beach. I'm a writer, currently working creatively writing and also working as a technical writer.
Cool. So, yeah, welcome to Hack Days. It is unfortunately chaotic, which is like, fortunately for us, we can start talking about everything. Tell us more about what your project is doing.
Yeah, my background is neuroscience and other nerd math. And during my PhD,
Wait, your background's in neuroscience and what?
And other nerd math.
Nerd math? That's awesome.
Even for nerds, it's math?
Even for nerds, it's nerd math. It's kind of embarrassing. Hopefully not as embarrassing now that AI is becoming more popular.
Yeah, right. Back when you were called crazy for trying to pursue these things.
Yes.
Does that ever happen to you?
Yeah, all the time. I actually, this is not even my first business because I started a business with my ex-boyfriend while I was writing my thesis proposal because I assumed I would fail.
Oh, really?
It would be rejected.
Wow.
But it was accepted. But yeah.
You're like, fooled you.
I know. I probably should have stuck with the business. I would have made more money. Anyways. I'm really interested in AI, and AI more in the context of how it can be used to help humans instead of what it's used for now, where we have these accidental maladaptive applications.
We just say that are more about productizing humans.
Yes, where humans are training the AI, and I think it's important for us to really flip the script and think about how AI can help humans.
How AI can help program humans?
Yes. So the AI that I built is actually based on how a part of your brain called cortex actually works. So the neural network is like a real neural network, and more importantly, how it changes and how it can be changed so that it can help treat different neurological disorders and even just help improve performance. Or we have some fun applications we're exploring, like what would it be like to like add an extra sense in VR.
Yeah, right.
So we're working on that. Unfortunately, I had to like build my own hardware to run the AI and the sensors for it, but hopefully that will be good.
What do you mean, unfortunately?
Yeah, I mean, that's just impressive.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I would have liked to not have spent a year and a half on that.
Yeah.
How did you build your own sensors?
I had to actually like order a whole bunch of materials and try a lot of different materials and decide which ones. I work with a lot of artists and designers in New York, and so they're really helpful in telling me like, that's ugly, that's uncomfortable, and we'll still like fine tune it a bit. Hopefully we're going to China next month.
Cool.
And then.
So, sorry, when you say sensors, you're talking specifically about things that would go on the head, say, that would be actually reading the electrical fields and the current going on in the cortex?
Yep, and then the AI can deconvolute what's actually going on, and then it provides the type of experience that works best for rewiring your brain so that you're getting experiences that are really tuned to you instead of you looking at like whatever has been given to you by Facebook or Facebook ads. That's like a really limited subset and kind of in some ways like a maladaptive experience. Like even on Facebook, the experience of like trying to engage with friends has all of these built-in addictive properties.
Sure, that they've put in specifically to gamify it.
Yes.
Yeah. And so you're attempting to read those signals without that interference with the thingies.
With
the thingies that you put on the head.
sensors.
Yeah. How are you able to separate those out? How does that work?
The AI does that.
Interesting. So you have like an AI read on what a Facebook type of.
Oh no, for that there's a specific pathway that's like an addiction pathway, and it's really easy to just say that's not allowed.
Oh, so that's interesting.
Oh, wow.
So you're reading the Facebook as in parallel with an addiction pathway.
Yeah.
Wait, so how does the software integrate with the actual? And immediately when I thought of addiction, I thought of like a drug addiction or something. But you're talking about like the addiction that is technology, or
Yeah, and actually like. I work with a lot of younger people, and if you go into rehab for teenagers now, there are more teenagers that are there for social media and gaming addiction than there are for what we'd consider drug addiction.
Really?
Yeah, and the data supports that. Like, when you have an addiction to social media, which a lot of us struggle with, when you get certain things, like a certain amount of likes, or like a certain amount of retweets on Twitter, your brain actually releases dopamine. Yeah, in the same way that you would if you took like heroin or Oxycontin.
Really?
And so people are changing their behavior to chase that high.
Yes.
Wow.
Because I noticed when I sometimes when I used to have my money in Exodus, or my crypto in Exodus, whenever I bought crypto on Coinbase and then sent it to my Exodus account, it would make a little blink, and I'd be like, yeah. And that always felt good. So I can imagine that happening, and I would crave that, and I'd like, want to buy more and more crypto so I could do that.
And that gamifying model is present in more and more software, web interactions, all of these things built around it. And so you're designing things that will screen that out so they can get to what would be probably healthier, but also more to the core of that person's own cortex.
Yeah, I mean, when we think about technology, like I've talked a lot about to people who are like at the original Xerox PARC and like the labs who are still alive, and what that technology was made for was like really we can make our own like infinite digital environments, and like from an evolutionary perspective, like we can do basically real-time evolution, especially with your brain, which is rewires so quickly.
You can create an entire control system, a feedback loop, so that you can essentially learn to program yourself in any way, shape, or form.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's like what, of course, the dream is for technologies like virtual reality, and having really uniform applications, I think really sucks a lot of the joy out of the internet.
What do you mean by uniform applications?
Like even just like Facebook looks the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if I looked at Facebook from 5 years ago, the design would not be strikingly different from now. Versus if you like go back and look at like old GeoCity sites, you could make them into whatever you wanted. And there's people used to browse all of this like weird anarcho, like wild west,
strange like navigation that doesn't work, but it's weird.
It was like how to become a witch, and it was like text files of like spells, and you're like, cool, this is the internet, right?
Yeah.
Or like also like just side-scrolling web pages that would just shoot you left or right.
Yeah. more, I guess, but the ability to express oneself, maybe, right? But how does Facebook, in my mind, has done a very good job of figuring out an exploitive kind of mechanic, right? That then it creates a function around that generates some revenue for them.
Yes.
Right? And so how do you get people who, their dopamine is a parameter in this, right? They get a hit, Facebook gets $1, right? Mm-hmm. How do you get people to, one, recognize that it's bad for them, right? And how do you get people to then want to participate differently, right? It's not just I'm presuming, right? I'm assuming, which my father would say.
Classic dad joke.
Yeah, classic dad joke. I'm assuming that it's not just about education, but it's also giving them, if that's what they're seeking, giving them another reason, right? Helping them find that in more constructive ways, right? Helping them find the patterns of reward in more constructive ways. Is that the case?
Or maybe even more, also besides more constructive, more individual ways, more individually expressive.
Right. And I think this is both optimistic, but I think it's also true. When you look at the cycles of addiction, people have to move on to a more addicting or a more novel thing. And that's really what I've seen and many other people have seen with social media, where like we started out with like weirdo things like LiveJournal, and then everyone got on MySpace, and then MySpace was boring, so everyone moved on to Facebook, and then that's boring, so we're on Instagram and Twitter. That's boring, so we're on Snapchat. And what people thought was that people would move into VR, but that's actually not been the case. And one of the things that's holding back VR from adoption is actually people are afraid of transferring that addiction into VR.
Do you think so?
Yes, I've heard this from many.
That people don't adopt VR because they're afraid they're going to become addicted to it?
Just going to get pulled into the world and not leave.
Yes.
What about something like AR? Like Magic Leap ever did anything? If there were simple AR glasses that you could wear, or in the future, 40 years in the future, maybe just like a thing. Do you think that'll ever be mainstream? Like some kind of augmented reality interface, like the Black Mirror episode on the. Have you seen Black Mirror episode 1, season 3?
But I think that's like the same thing about a lot of things. Like some people talk about how heroin is such a good high, and they'll never do it because they think that they would get pulled into it and get just like immersed in that universe.
But is this about redirecting addiction or stopping it totally? Because
I think we need to stop it. We need to stop it.
There are some addictions there are some dopamine hits that are beneficial, right? So like when I'm figuring out a problem and I solve it, right? I'm like, I feel like I've conquered something. I feel like, and I get a dopamine release of just like, yes, this is the thing I've struggled for and I've achieved, and now it's like the reward, for that struggle. Now, do you think that getting rid of addiction there, or at least the mechanic of addiction that could be abused, right? I'm curious on like what you see as one thing being addictive and exploitive, and one thing being addictive and constructive.
The problem with Facebook is that what has been shown by many studies on young people is that they view it as a replacement for a real full social life and real interactive, like in real life relationships, and building like a real support network. Or even worse, if they don't get the support they need from a Facebook post, they won't recognize that their support system does exist. They think that it's only accessible on Facebook. So this has caused a really bad depression epidemic in a lot of teenagers.
That's really interesting. So maybe one analogy would be that you can get fast food quick and easy, but it's not any replacement for healthy eating. If you're eating fast food all the time, it's bad for you.
Yes.
If you're getting all of your social interaction, or even a large percentage of it, from social media sites, it's just not healthy.
Yeah, and it's different for us too. If you grew up with social media
in a game, and actually seeing how people react and interact with you because you're present with them.
Hold on one second. We're not streaming audio.
Okay.
No, it's fine.
You've always got an interesting crowd every single half days.
Yeah, I wouldn't. But what happened? First of all, it was not even the app was dead.
Yeah, because you didn't charge this. That's why.
Okay.
Oh, Jesus.
Is that on there?
Yeah.
And it's fine.
Okay. Now
It's
back.
just because this is
Back.
dead.
Okay.
That's the only problem.
Okay.
You're fine.
Sorry, we're back.
Yeah. So
I'm done.
so cool. So yeah. So your company and or what you're making, what the systems that you're working on right now, are they largely oriented around dealing specifically with addiction, or is it that just one of several things that you expect you can address with what you're making?
No, it's just trying to give people an alternative option.
Okay, cool. So, and you've worked with artists and had artists involved with this and testing with it. Are there some interesting results you've had from that you can discuss? With no names.
With no names. I somehow spontaneously an artist developed synesthesia.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Which was really cool.
You are hacking at user-supported-noisebridge.net.
Right. So what was the synesthesia? Like, were they a painter and they were hearing what they were drawing, or what was it?
He started hearing tones for animated videos.
Started hearing what?
Hearing sounds for animated videos.
Huh.
That's interesting.
Like specific tones.
That's
It's really
super
cool.
neat.
So what, if people wanted to find out more about your project, how would they find you?
The website is synoptic.cool.
That cool?
Yes.
Nice.
All the domains these days.
I let artists have a say in our domain name. I figured it didn't matter.
That is literally pretty cool. And you did mention, I think before we started on, that you had actually used some of this on yourself and had helped yourself with some migraines.
Oh, yeah. Not exactly this tech, but like the AI and the research I used to have migraines every day, and I figured out like all of the environments I can be in, all of the environments I should avoid, and just eliminated most of my migraines.
So I was like, never leave the house.
Like, what are those environments? Because that's a huge issue for so many.
Yeah.
Just need to be in a hermetically sealed room.
No, it turns out like if my brain doesn't have enough stimulation, it starts getting migraine.
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you always have to be partying.
I mean, not like partying, but like I have to have a lot more stimulation, I think, than baseline.
Is
like,
it external, or is it something that you can participate, like drawing or being creative,
Yeah, I can do being creative, or I can use digital proxies too, but like I'm not someone who can do like Netflix and chill.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting.
So what does like your day look like to combat all that?
I have to make sure that I'm like leaving the house and doing at least a couple like weird things every week.
A couple of relatively new things, maybe like I have to have.
Is that a blessing in disguise, though?
I think so. I end up being in a lot of different environments that I don't think I would go to normally as a psychiatrist.
Like hack days.
Yeah, like hack day.
Thank you for showing up. Yeah, is that that sounds at least somewhat similar to descriptions of ADHD. Has that ever, like, not the results, but that's, ADHD is like constantly needing stimulation. It doesn't necessarily come into. It doesn't necessarily produce a migraine, right? But is there something similar there to that? Like your brain is needing something to stimulate, or it just kind of starts eating itself, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Your mind, I should say.
Yeah. So like having balanced stimulation for you is really important for most neurological disorders. So like it can go either way. Like you can either have too much, which is like we call that. I think the buzzword now is sensory sensitivity. So too much for some people can produce the same results as too little in other people.
And so my understanding of what a migraine actually is, and we talked about this a little bit before, is that it's actually a almost viewable as an electrical storm in the cortex that, as I understand it, the brain is processing as pain because it doesn't know what else to do with it.
It's a thing called cortical spreading. It's basically like there are gatekeepers in your brain that say like let's not activate too many things at once, and when you have a migraine you just have a bunch of things activated at once.
Interesting. Why doesn't it express itself as something cooler than just like this thing that's painful?
Like imagine if it was just like I'm tasting something awesome.
Like I would like it to come out as like maybe a Beautiful Mind episode where I'm like, now all these things are firing at once. I can connect the dots finally.
I wonder if that is what is the there's a Buddhist experience that's supposed to be like that. Is it it's not samosa. Never mind.
But I love samosa.
Satori. I wonder if that's what Satori actually is. But sorry.
So, do you know? I mean, I'm sure you've done the research on like what migraines are. Do you know why they're expressed so painfully?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's probably just activating pain sensors. I have to look it up. I do know a lot about. I have the type of migraines that has a visual aura. So I have like what looks like an acid trip before.
Really?
Which is also common in epilepsy, and that's some of the ethos of my company is surrounding that. Where, in talking to a lot of artists who tend to have neurological disorders more so than the normal population, I guess. There are a lot of things that go along with disorders that we like.
Different functioning.
Yeah, and so using something like CRISPR or a medication that completely gets rid of them is also not ideal.
It's like
gets rid of some of the positives.
It's like the third X-Men movie where they like have an option to get rid of their abilities to participate as humans, and they're like, why? Because you were born special, right? I think that's kind of a similar thing, because like I do a lot of things simultaneously, right? Some might call that ADD. My doctor might as well. And I think there's a lot of positive things that come from that, right? Like I'm very creative just when I'm working, right? If I'm on the phone or something, I can do a bunch of creative things at once. I'm curious in like why people would ever what is normal and why does it matter?
It's a difficult question. I think it's just like the ethos of medicine and psychiatry for a long time has not really been on board with the rest of biology. Like the rest of biology is about like to evolve as species, we need to promote diversity, have like a lot of different types of people and lots of different types of abilities that we can support, and like obviously with technology we can make digital environments that support everyone.
Are adaptive.
Yeah. And I think with medicine we kind of see people on like a bell curve where we're trying to get people to normal functioning, and that works for most disorders. Like say you have a blood disorder and one of your proteins doesn't work very well, getting your protein within normal levels of functioning is a good idea.
You wouldn't necessarily want your blood to be creative.
No. But with the way that the brain works, it's a little bit different because the brain area that tends to be broken in these disorders, cortex, is an evolutionary, really, really new area. And it's still evolving, it's not stable. Not even very many species have a cortex.
Mm-hmm. So it's still figuring things out.
Yeah, and so like we have some things that are linked that, so like I like to say that things in some environments are adaptive and in other environments are maladaptive. And
context matters.
Yeah, context really matters. So I think it is important for us to keep this diversity in, and instead as humans try to like figure out ways to support it instead of just being like, no, let's make it uniform. Sorry, cortex.
Right. Interesting. And I wonder what the end goal, like if it's still evolving, if it's still trying to figure things out. One day it'll go, oh wow, yeah, Dan, not my greatest moment, right? like you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. I'm curious on how that will evolve and where it's converging over time, or if this function of diversity is literally the reason why it exists, right? Is to create a bunch of additional layers of creativity, of exploration, of just discovery among the agents that it sits inside of, I guess. And I wonder if that's its function, is like literally to add more spice to the mix.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'd have to look it up, but probably I don't.
By the way, I love that answer. I know that you're a true nerd and engineer. Whenever you say, "Well, I'm gonna have to look it up," that's like a true engineer answer. It's like I don't know, but I'll look it up. So I love it.
I think that you can survive without a cortex.
Wow, I know I have.
I'll have to look it up.
But I think that is true because lobotomized people have lived, and that's cutting off. Isn't that cutting off the cortex from the rest of the body?
Cutting off the front part.
Mm.
Oh, that's just the front part of the cortex.
That's just the front part.
So, okay.
But you can do like basic life functions without having any cortex.
Really?
Or like chicken, or I guess chickens don't have cortexes, but if you cut off a chicken's head just the right way, I know this from experience, but if you cut off a chicken's head just the right way, it can still live because its brainstem is still like there.
It's like it's still programmed and everything.
Yeah.
The basic autonomic functions of temperature, oxygen, blood, etc., running the body.
The internet says, can we live without a brain? Alicia was born with hydranencephaly.
Hydranencephaly.
She was plugged into a machine, I'm sure.
Listen, it's a rare condition that left her without a brain. Despite doctors' dismal expectations, Kalisha is now 6 years old and has managed to survive with only a partially functioning brainstem.
This might sound bad, but
So
what's
basically-
That's not very.
Yeah,
I mean,
it does. It does. We can just say it sounds bad. We can just say it sounds bad.
But if she
We've
doesn't
no.
have
It's
a
well. I
brain-
think it's with the bad sounding. What is the simplest animal that has a cortex?
I don't know. The simplest genetic model is a mouse.
Mouse.
So that's the one to study.
Okay. So then that sort of ilk,
That's
like
why
a hamster.
they use for all those studies. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But so the device that you have, in this particular case, you ran it on yourself. You got a basic set of maps, and then you just sort of tested like how the maps were different if you went and saw a band.
No.
Like how did you isolate to try and address the balance of stimulation that you would need to avoid migraines?
I was more complicated than that. I tortured mice for a very long time. So I modeled all of this on mice.
Did you torture them, like you put little headphones on them and played them Justin Bieber? Like,
No.
Sorry, there's no answer to that. That's fun.
So did you use like an EEG headset, or did you actually use probes?
No, I actually did. I did single cell recordings, and I measured their RNA.
Really? Cool.
Yeah, after I changed their environment.
Because the RNA would show stress?
There's actual, I was reducing their hearing, so giving them like basically the equivalent of a really common childhood condition called hearing loss, where there's either abnormality or they have chronic ear infections during the time that they're supposed to develop the building blocks for language acquisition. So it causes like long-term problems and like reading and things like that.
And those problems seemed to match. Basically, I'm curious how you managed to isolate things for yourself. Like, what was the process of?
Yeah. How do you make sense of all of that, and how do you then create a system that modifies that to benefit yourself, right? How do you identify your problem versus other people's, or your features
Yes.
versus other people's features in that?
I kind of don't want to go into the core IP.
No, just give us all the IP. It's cool. It's cool.
That's cool.
I got a paper to sign for you. All right. Curious.
But okay. I basically looked at it in animal models and got every possible condition that I would need until NYU kicked me out and said you need to build an actual product. And then I spent some time like making sure that like the basic research worked in people, myself included, and then based off of that, now I can make predictions on matching the types of environments to the type of disorders.
Yeah, it's so super neat.
How do I get involved in a beta or alpha trial for this thing?
I want to hear mayonnaise.
Sign up on my website, and I will let you know when beta is ready when I get back from China.
Yeah.
And we're also going to be, I'm not sure, we don't have a location picked out for San Francisco, but we're going to have this available at art spaces in New York and probably Berlin in the fall.
And what was your website again?
Synoptic.cool.
Synoptic.cool. Okay.
I just want to say, like, you come in here and you present yourself as very modest and unassuming, and you are.
I don't know. The glasses kind of give it away.
Well, that she's got company, that she's going to have, her company in 3 cities. I mean, selling a product, going to China, no big deal. I'm just going to fly out to China, chat with some investors, maybe chill with Jinping. We'll get a selfie, but I won't post it to Facebook because that's bad for people. But I will get a selfie. Like that's just it's all very impressive.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So what do you like? What has piqued your interest outside of this, your company and research that other people are doing that is interesting?
Obviously blockchain.
Right. Yeah. So one of the things that I feel like philosophically we're in such a similar place, right? So we want to be able to build like an exchange so that these models that people build under particular contexts can be downloaded and applied, right? And I think that this kind of decentralized future is really important. And it's a matter of figuring out all of the entire pipeline so that we can facilitate cool stuff like this, right? Not just on the devices that we hold, but also the devices that we wear, and that can help us become more insightful ultimately, and as well as having adaptive companions that help to act as part of that feedback loop, right? How can they help steer us in more positive, interesting ways? I think that's kind of where I'm trying to facilitate things, and it's a matter of building out the foundations and the architecture to make that work. In my case.
Yeah.
You know.
Which is impressive.
Thank you.
It's a hard problem.
Yeah, they're super hard problems, and from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed, I'm literally working. Hack days is like my recess, you know. So, yeah, super interested. I'm really excited. When do you get back from China?
Probably July.
Cool. How did you go about? So we were looking at building out a wearable bot platform.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So we wanted to. It was called Wisteria. And we wanted to basically perform sensor and data fusion and build machine learning models. So basically, it's a wearable bot platform that had a machine learning pipeline that bots can tap into.
That's super cool.
Right? Mm-hmm. And as you participated to build models, you could also get paid in crypto. So the back end was all crypto. And trying to explain that to somebody was just like, one, we were calling them like, this was before the bots craze happened, so they were autonomous, intelligent agents that you could program. Cryptocurrency really wasn't, you know, a Thanksgiving kind of conversation at the time. It was, and to say that this is like a wearable device that sees everything you see, hears everything you hear, and like learns all about you, was kind of like Black Mirror-esque for a lot of people.
Was it around the Google Glass time too?
It was after the Google Glass thing, because Google Glass is very passive, and this was like a very like we wanted people to participate in consuming all the data around.
No, I mean I was just wondering if it had caught some of the bad press.
The surveillance
got caught in the yeah. We got caught in some of the backlash for that.
People really didn't care about that as much as they were just interestingly enough, Black Mirror introduced people to a lot of
new
kind of
concepts,
sociologically thinking about technology and how it will impact the world. And so they would always bring it to its furthest extent. We got like, oh, this is Skynet. Like I'm helping participate to build Skynet. To I don't want bots. I don't want a bot to learn everything about me and like take over my life. Like really like sci-fi stuff. And I was just like, well, step one, we have to like build and wear, right? Like so. But we went through the process of prototyping it, and I built all the device plane architecture, all the back-end software, all the synchronization software, and we were going to go to a contract manufacturer, right? Because I think we're using a Raspberry Pi for prototyping at the time, and we needed somebody to like design all the PCB and actually manufacture it to spec in the form factor that we desired. Did you feel that was an easy journey, or?
I'm starting it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, right.
I think try to do as much stuff yourself as possible.
Yeah.
You may already be aware of this, but I have. There's a lot of people in business who have made deals with the Chinese government. Basically, you cannot. Everything is in some form with the Chinese government, as I understand it. Like private investors are still allowed. So, when you are making your product, it would probably be wise to look out against factories copying what you're doing and then just making their own version.
I have come to peace with the fact that I just don't care.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the biggest part of it.
The important aspect of the technology is the AI and also
Correct.
the ability for you to essentially like program your own AI.
Yeah.
And also like it has mental health applications. If someone wants to rip off my hardware and
To make humanity
benefit
better.
people.
I'm not really going to complain about that.
That's a great outlook.
But being able to manufacture in China is much faster and much cheaper, so that's why I decided to go with that option, because I thought I could have had it a lot more expensive and manufactured here, but I felt like making it more accessible immediately was more important.
Yeah. Cool. Just getting something out the door.
Yeah.
and testing. I think it's always the most important thing. Optics aside, getting a product in the hands of people is, you can't beat it. Cool. Well, I can't wait until we start working together. I feel like when I discovered your project, I was like, oh wow, like, and such similar names that I was like almost kismet. It's like, okay, cool, this is amazing. Yeah, and you seem like a very wonderful person too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me here. This is amazing.
This is great. Yeah. So I saw Black Panther last night. This is where we start talking about anything and everything under the sun. I just as an aside, I really love Black Panther. I thought it was a great movie. I went in. I've never read Black Panther comics, but I really enjoyed the movie itself. I thought it was one of the top superhero movies of all time. Yeah,
I would agree.
You've seen it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's so much that's cool about it from my perspective. I would say the thing that I am maybe the most impressed about is that it's a successful fantasy world within a fantasy world.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The rest of the superhero Marvel universe did not know that within the Marvel superhero universe there was a secret universe of Wakanda.
Yeah.
And it's just a very impressive story.
Yeah, absolutely. The lore, the universe building inside of a universe was really good. And I was really surprised, and it was not as surface. It had more depth than I thought it would have.
Yeah, you could expect even just a lot of things just not fully thought out and just done for purely one level of surface appeal.
Yeah.
And there were depths in it which are
and the acting was phenomenal.
Yeah.
The acting was absolutely phenomenal.
Acting was great. Writing was great. Just
action was good. I liked it. What do you think?
I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
I thought the commitment to the costuming and the characters themselves was great to see.
Yeah.
I think a lot more movies are taking that into consideration.
And when they, because they work when they do, which is nice to see. Absolutely. Seen a couple of videos with the director, even going in and breaking down scenes at a certain level that it hadn't even occurred to me to consider. So you've seen the movie? Oh, okay. There's a fight in a bar.
I'm not it for movies.
I'm not gonna. There's no spoiler alert that there's a fight in a bar, and there's three characters from Wakanda there, and the director goes into how he gave them different colors in their clothing to represent not only moods, but added together, it's red, black, and green, which is
that's the flag.
Yeah. So and just sorts of deeper level build out the universe, even if you don't understand. It seems like you can perceive intuitively that there is a reason for it, and that makes for a richer universe. Even if you don't understand why, that there is a pattern.
Like there is cohesion, even if it's subtle and kind of, not as in your face as you think.
Yeah, and it all ties back together well, and they discuss how a lot of the elements within the Wakandan society that we get to see are taken from different African cultures within the continent, and the actual alphabet of the language, when you see their language, is square-based, which is tied back to at least one African culture. And just, sometimes when they're talking to themselves, they'll be using, in Wakandan, they'll be using elements of Xhosa, I think it's called, which is the only human language that has a sound in it. Just
I noticed
super
that.
neat.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
No.
Are you gonna see it?
Probably not.
What?
I'm not a superhero type of person.
I'm just saying, if you want to think about being a nerd culture, this might be a seminal.
I think comics are done. I don't think that your generation, are they into comics at all?
No. I mean, I've read I've read all 28. I'm a little bit behind. I've read all 28 Walking Dead books twice.
I was gonna say Walking Dead. I was gonna say Walking Dead.
So, I mean, I've read comics before. I've read some Hellboy.
Yeah.
Not a lot. I didn't really like it. I've read this one called Southern Bastards, which is pretty good, about this football team. And their coach is this guy, but he's control it since it's in the like deep south and football is everything. He's like pulling strings and controlling like.
So it's like comics like Friday Night Lights. It's like real drama.
Yeah, right. That's what it sounds.
Yeah, that doesn't sound interesting.
I mean, it could be. It would be interesting that it could be
I'm
made
just
interesting.
kidding.
Soap opera. Yeah.
Yeah.
Football opera.
Paper Girls is really great. I love
Paper Girls is the best. It's an incredible graphic novel series. I love it.
I've seen it on the table at the place. What is it?
At the comic book place.
Yeah, or I'm not sure if it was the different one, but it had girls in the title.
So that works.
And I'm pretty sure
It's really good. Like, I don't know, the thing I like about Paper Girls the most is aesthetically it's beautiful. Great colors. Great colors. You know, I think of like the 90s comics and it's all like yellows
Be careful
and
what you say.
reds and blues, like primary colors, and I always looked at it and was like, so boring.
Yeah.
But all these new comics that are coming out, I'm like, okay, I could do that.
So you're saying the newer comics seem to have a wider palette range?
I mean, they're just like brighter and sharper and like illuminated. As opposed to like old comics, it just seemed like so flat to me.
Interesting.
But that might just be my like design aesthetic that matches with those comics. I don't know. Like a lot of that color pink. That like, you know? Everything on that scale, and I love it. I think that is just a testament to our like generation.
I wonder too now, looking at it, if that is a result of better and cheaper printing processes too.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So you have the traditional. It became a look because it was cheap. The traditional primary colored, four-colored press.
Yes.
So and so it developed a style, but there's now other styles that can develop with advanced
That totally
technology.
makes sense. Yeah, because the old comics are like so boring looking to me. I mean, no offense.
You have to use your imagination.
Listen, I know, but like to me, I'm like, hello, I want some holographic stuff in here. Like, hello.
Holographics.
Come
Yes, you love holographics.
I want
stuff.
like shininess. You know, I just did a butterfly pinning class. I asked them, I was like,
What is butterfly pin?
There's so much in that.
It's crazy. And people who are into insects are like really into
Entomologists?
insects.
Is that-
Yeah, this guy was like insane that taught the class. And he gave us this whole spiel before we started pinning our butterflies. And we did one of those big blue, I forget what it's called, but something from like the Amazon or whatever, a giant blue holographic little butterfly. And I was asking him, I was like, well, do the female butterflies look different? The blue morpho butterfly. Do the females look different than the males? Because he was talking about peacocking. And he was like, no, actually, they look the same. But the females, their eyes are like so 3D. Like they have so many little, I don't know what you call them.
But all the individual segments of the eye.
Yeah, they see the males' scales differently, and they can identify them. And so to them, the males look more colorful. And I was like, you know what? That's true. I'm a female, and I love colorful things. And I love sparkly things and shiny things.
But I'm a male and I love those things too.
Well, I know, but it's saying that is good for mating. That like basically turns you on.
So I should be wearing like glitter coats.
Yeah, I mean, what are you doing with your life right now?
Right? What am I doing?
Well, you are wearing a nerd glitter
I am.
with
This is-
2,600
this is
feet.
That's
nerd
kind of
bait.
like peacocking.
Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, you like circuit boards? Yeah.
I'll show you the original blue box. How you like that?
Yeah.
But
So it was cool.
yeah, so butterfly pinning. So it was talking about how you put butterflies up on boards to
I
display
picked
them.
one.
Okay. Did you come with it, or was a butterfly given to you?
No, it's you pay for it.
Okay.
But I mean, it's a pretty small class. It was like maybe, I don't know, 11 people were there, so that was cool.
Can you walk us through the process of butterfly pinning?
Okay, well, so
You want to speak
I
up a
was
little
the
bit.
person that had like a lot of questions in the class, and I'm sure everyone was annoyed with me. But first things first, they rehydrate the butterflies because you're supposed to kill them immediately, and you're supposed to cut the blue morpho's thorax off because they have some sort of like acid that comes out and it changes the color of their wings to green.
You're gonna have to speak. So the microphone is now all the way up here because this iPad keeps rebooting.
Dying
Yeah.
because someone didn't charge it.
Yeah.
It was not me. Anyway, so basically they cut off its butt because otherwise this poison comes out and it completely like morphs the wings.
Wait,
and
what?
it'll change the color. It'll chemically react.
Exactly. So when you pin the blue morpho, and this is like only one of a few butterflies you have to do this with. You can keep everything else intact, but you have to cut off that thorax.
The butt.
Yeah, the butt. Because it like seeks something gross.
Wow.
So you can rehydrate the butterflies, but you're supposed to do it immediately after killing it. And basically, what you do is you put it in this little canal where there's like 2 pieces of styrofoam on either side, or any sort of material, and then you gently like lift the veins. There's like one vein that's like really tight on their wings, and you lift that, and you can move the wing out, and then you lift this one, you move this one out, and then you pin it using this like paper, because you can't touch the wings, otherwise all the scales will fall off. And it's like crazy. And there was this one lady next to me that was just having so many struggles.
Do you have to muffle it when it's like, no, please no?
Basically,
Yeah.
And like, I just felt so bad for her because she kept touching her wings, and it was so messed up. And anyway, so then you move the back 2 and you pin them down with this vellum paper, and you have to wait 5 days until it dries. Then you can put it in a frame or whatever you're gonna do. But
so yours is still drying.
yes.
So I'm surprised there
I had
isn't.
no idea it was so complicated.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to that. I always thought it was just jam
That's what I thought.
jam one of these through a wing.
Where do they get the butterflies from?
They get the butterflies from a scientific research study place where they release half of them, and then the other half they send to people who are collectors.
So
Interesting.
I'm surprised they don't have some sort of fixative that you would spray on the wings so the scales don't. Nothing like that. That's
No,
not.
because if you did that, that would cause the color to change.
Huh.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's so many different kinds of crazy. And if the butterflies themselves have not been rehydrated, you can't move the wings. They'll just like break off. Because the exoskeleton is like, needs to be, I don't know,
Flexible
oily
and
or
not
whatever.
brittle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's crazy.
All right.
And bug people are just like, oh my goodness. That is another level. It was very interesting. That's all I'm going to say.
But yeah, they're so deep into it.
They are so... Okay, the guy started the class off with saying, so the reason we're alive today is basically because of bugs. And I was like, okay.
Oh, he loves bugs.
He loves bugs. And then everyone had to go around the room and tell each other about their favorite bug.
Why they love bugs?
I was like, I don't know, even like a stick bug maybe? Like
That's your favorite bug? A stick
Yeah.
bug? Really? Oh my, that's my phobia. The stick bug was on me.
Really?
Yeah.
I've seen one stick bug in my entire life. And I was 7 years old, and it was the most enchanting thing. I thought it was a stick, and I was about to make a fairy forest with it. And then I touched it, and it was like, and I was like,
Wow.
it's a bug. And then,
cool.
like, I kept it, and it died, so sorry. But,
I'm sure it lived a happy and full life.
I mean, yeah, in my little bottle thing. I'm pretty sure.
Did you put holes in the lid at least?
No.
No, so it wasn't that long.
I did that a lot.
So you did bring up the butterfly thing, because I think we were talking about colors and the printing press.
Yeah, it's really incredible. I feel like every interesting color that's ever existed came from a bug. Or like some kind of berry.
Huh.
You know, because bugs and fruit and all that food is really like meshed together. It's like if we didn't have bugs, then we probably wouldn't have all this food.
Sure, and also you're going to have probably more complexity out of an organic system
Yeah.
than out of minerals.
Definitely in
It's
art.
true, there's some minerals.
Like in art, the colors that we have are because of the materials that were available at the time.
Yeah.
Right. It's very interesting. Oh, I was thinking the other day, there's a great Netflix show that I put on while I'm working. It's called Moving Art.
It's so good.
And it's
You guys
basically somebody comes out and they videotape in HD, like just nature, right? Under the ocean, in the jungle, whatever. And there was one that was just like flowers and insects, right? And I was looking at a flower and it had all these beautiful patterns on it, right? Not just its form, but also how it expressed, right? Phenotypically, the patterns on the petals and things like this. And I was like, something went off in my head, and I was like, oh, this must be a QR code for insects, right? Like how it would align itself, because they can understand, like, oh, this is the place that I belong, right? And I was like, oh, like literally everything is pattern matching, right? In nature, I feel. Anyway, that was just like a QR code for insects was a revelation. I don't know.
Yeah, and like insects needing to diversify themselves so that they can fly better, or like there are these ants that they mate in a swarm, and then the men die, and then the females eat their wings off.
Eat the men's or eat their own?
Their own. They eat their own wings off, and then they lay their eggs in the ground.
In the men's bodies or just in the ground?
Just in the ground.
Oh, weird.
No, the men are gone. It's like, bye.
You served your purpose.
See you later.
Thank you.
When you're done with the seeds, you throw away the envelope.
Yeah.
That's a Simpsons
Bye.
episode.
That's funny.
But it was cool. They talked about that last time.
What's your favorite insect? Let's go around. What's your favorite insect, Jack? Wow, this is a hard question.
This is like dumb.
You can give a top
I
five.
can just see the encyclopedia of insects going through Jack's head.
Let's see. I mean, I'm sure there's some pretty cool ones out there. This one's pretty standard. Just like
I like how you pay respect to other bugs. You're like, I'm sure there's some great bugs out there.
I don't want these other bugs to be upset.
But I'm going to tell you the best bug of all time.
I'm gonna let you finish.
I like very poisonous spiders or black widows, because basically the female black widow mates with the male black widow and it eats the male to get food for its babies.
You know, I'm just gonna throw a quibble here. Spiders are technically not bugs.
They're technically
arachnids. Yeah. So.
Okay. I mean, even though they're gross and I don't particularly like them or want to see them, I like ants.
Okay.
I love ants.
I love ants. I mean, sometimes I do like to see them, but like not in my house. But I love just watching ants go by, because our school has a giant ant infestation, and sometimes they'll
Way to
walk,
throw your school under the bus there,
they'll
Jack.
walk on my desk. I'm just like, oh, isn't that nice? Ants. They're just like a nice thing, and then they'll be on the trees, and then the kids drop food on the playground, they'll eat it. It's good.
Yeah, they're like cleaning up after everyone.
They're scavengers. I really like scavengers.
Yeah.
They're interesting to me.
It is very interesting. I think ants would have to be also my answer. I love ant farms. I love watching ants, colonize and create their own little society, and innately understand what it means to sustain their own existence, which is kind of frightening. That the species itself is almost born with the ability to perform these functions, not just
really organized
personally.
community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, are those instructions embedded in their genetic code themselves? I don't know. It's pretty interesting.
Ants are fascinating, and within that too, there's just so many different kinds of ants that do fascinating things. Like there's ants that actually have another insect species that they keep for food.
Yeah, aphids.
Yeah.
Right.
Which
is
is
that what it is?
It might. I think so. Yeah. And just basically, they have cows.
Yeah.
There's also just the different methods of communication that ants can have, which I think is very smell-based, which is interesting. I think that my favorite insect is the lightning bug.
Oh, that's a really good one.
Because it does something that is like not only unique and pretty, but it's just chemically bizarre. They're flying batteries and light bulbs.
Yeah.
And it's so bizarre that you would evolve something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
How does that little part of that start?
Right. How does even? Oh, first of all, you have to have a receptor, right, to even participate in that signal. So you express this thing.
To other people that other insects have to be interested in.
Right. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's not.
It's just
not
a thing.
important.
Yeah.
It's not a feature that should survive, but
Yeah.
it has. For some reasons, now it becomes part of their ritual.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you could see how it could start evolutionarily. It's not an argument for creationism,
Sure.
but it is fascinating.
No, will never argue creation. I don't think that's.
Yeah, I'm just being clear for myself. And that's why we know the great pumpkin is the ruler of the universe.
Right. Turtles all the way down.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the great pumpkin. I mean, consider like how is it possible that How is it possible that humans were created? How did they come on it? There's no such thing as space. The Earth is flat. We're just a disc.
The only answer is we are a large. We're just a large pumpkin pie.
Yes.
That's just based on different gourds built on top of turtles.
So your favorite is the lightning bug.
Yeah.
Did you know they're endangered?
What?
That makes me sad, but it doesn't
I know,
surprise
right?
me. Oh
That
man,
is really that's sad.
they have to be saved.
Yeah. At least, if anything, for those, hot, long southern nights.
So we're sitting with a mint julep.
Sorry. What's your favorite insect?
I'm gonna be boring and say Drosophila. It's the genetic the fly.
Yeah.
My it's like my favorite to play with genetic model.
You are just out nerding everyone.
Is it so? What is it? Just a simple, well-studied genetic model, or what is?
Yeah, it's people have been playing with the
Fruit
genomes
flies for anyone.
Yeah, the genomes of fruit flies. I think now for almost 100 years, maybe
Right, the
100 years.
first genetic studies on fruit flies.
Yeah, and
Fruit
it's
flies.
just like a huge history, and
They reproduce really quickly.
they reproduce super
Yeah.
quickly, and I don't know, it's super fun. My best friend in grad school actually made Fly Mutant VR.
What is that?
So she's studying like color vision development, and she gave flies different types of like visual properties they don't normally have, and made this like LED arena.
That is so
What?
cool.
Wait.
To see them like how they would fly if she gave them different types of visual modifications.
Wow.
So wait, was she like just look? There's this gene here, and I'm gonna change this gene so they have 10 less segments in their eye, like something like that. Like how did she change
I'm
it?
gonna change it so that they see blue more than green.
And so she's doing this to their genes.
Yes, and then she put them in an LED arena with green and
With different
blue that
flashing
they had
lights.
to like learn the
Wow.
flight path while they were tethered.
Wow.
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Because Natalie Nerick, I think that she didn't publish that data.
I think she should publish
Yeah.
it as we could publish that as art.
It was a really cool project. I think the performance index her boss didn't think was good enough.
Yeah.
Well, her boss is wrong. I'll just say it. And I think I also liked that was phrased as an arena,
Yeah.
because it makes me think that it's just a gladiator flies now.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
You know, are you not entertained?
So is that how you were introduced to Drosophila? Drosophila? How do I pronounce that? I just say
Drosophila?
Drosophila.
Drosophila, interesting.
No, okay, I'll tell one more gross story about flies.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm so ready.
Let's hear it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. This is my favorite. This is actually like the chair of my thesis committee, Claude Desblon, was one of the people who worked on this. Flies are the genetic model we worked out with body patterning genes. They're called Hox genes, and basically, if you want to make like an extra limb, you can just copy and paste this genes in.
Really?
So like in lab, just like for fun and also for learning, we would make flies that like had like instead of antennas, they'd have like legs.
Really?
And
Could you give them like 12 legs?
I haven't seen one with 12 legs, but this is my all-time favorite one. A postdoc made it to show us. It's called ectopically expressed eyeless. It's where
Ectopically expressed what?
eyeless,
Eyeless.
and it's where every single body part is replaced with an eye.
Holy
Oh.
mother of nightmares.
You're committing fly atrocities.
Only
You need to be prosecuted.
they're viable, so they can actually breed.
What?
And the eyes code. They can see out of the
I
eyes.
hope you never let them out. Because
What?
that's how Africanized bees got out, right? They somehow bred them or something.
Yeah, so there's
and
just
they got out.
flying buckets of
Eyes.
eyes.
Yeah.
Just
But did they just
They
have
can't
eyes
fly.
on all of their
Okay,
limbs, or
okay,
were they
okay.
just eyes?
Their eyes on all of their limbs.
So would they move around like and they would mate. So they would find other, and they'd be like, "Hey, how's it going? You look pretty good." And
I'm looking.
like,
I'm looking at you all over.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
really
these old blue eyes. Oh, thanks. And then they would mate.
My
right?
eyes are up here, okay?
My eyes are everywhere here. Okay. And so they would mate, and another little eye creature would come out, and it would be like, "Kill me." Now it would be like, "Oh, hey everyone, I got a bunch of eyes too. Let's hang out."
With that, so it came out of an egg at least, but it's,
We didn't test viability.
Oh, okay.
Mercy sacrificed them.
Wow, that's scary.
That's
so.
amazing.
so it's just copy pasting into a blueprint.
Hold on,
Yes.
hold on.
Sorry.
One at a time.
What equipment did it take to do that? How could I do that?
Just curious.
Actually, no. So probably I have to look at the equipment that I have here. It would probably be illegal to order the flies, maybe not, but you can just order the ones on this repository called Flybase.
Flybase.
So you can order all the different genetic combinations.
I'll be honest, and I don't know if you've seen or not, flies aren't hard to find in the mission. Just go. Got a lot of them.
But they have
Healthy species too.
Yeah. Robust.
Flybase has like the little genetic inserts that you can do copy and paste.
So how does copy and paste work for this? So I immediately took genetics and was like, not for me. I'm gonna go more into chemistry. So I don't understand the equipment required to participate in cutting and pasting genes, and then how to get those genes inserted into what